Okay, folks. So anyhow, I'm still getting used to this camera, or this phone. I apologize, but I have a massive headache. You can see my eyes is all this time of year. My eyes are just red eye. You remember those commercials about Visine and the red eye? That's exactly what happens to me at this time of year. It just sucks. But anyhow, that's not what this video is really about. Because I'm sure you probably do care about me having a headache. I'm sure you guys do. But I have to do this video because I noticed this the other day. I thought it was on this side of the neighborhood that we're in. But then we had to go someplace, and Noelle took the back way, and I noticed it again. This is something that you have to get used to in Tacoma. And I didn't see this in Seattle. I haven't seen it in any of the other places that we went to when I go through neighborhoods. And I don't know if this is because back in the day someone stole them and it was never replaced or what. But in Tacoma there are a lot of streets that do not have stop signs. They're four-way streets, and now they're in neighborhoods, so it's not like it's a high traffic area, but there are no stop signs. There's no roundabout, nothing. It's just an intersection, nothing. Like, you don't know who, and that's the question. And Noelle asked that question, who goes first? I'm like, I have absolutely no clue. And it's typically pretty scary when you see those because you can't, we're becoming more and more of a crowded city here. And I don't think that obviously Tacoma ever planned for that. I mean, let's be real. I think Tacoma never thought that it would get this popular. I mean, there was no reason to believe that Tacoma would be this popular in terms of people moving here. And so a lot more people have moved here, and so there's a lot more cars, and there's a lot more people who are parking on the side of the streets and things like that. You know, I was telling you about that, how back in the day when we first moved here, you would see some of that. You would see cars parked on the side of the street, and you're seeing more and more and more of that. It's not as bad as in Seattle, but you notice it, right? You notice changes, and I mentioned our street, for example. I've noticed and yesterday it was just like a traffic jam. Like literally cars could not go. They would have to pull over and a whole string of cars would come through, and we're not really on a so-called busy street, but it's become busier. When we first checked this house out, it wasn't that busy. I know this is a tangent, but it wasn't busy at all. In fact, we parked on the side of the street. The girls kind of trotted across the street. I'm like, oh, this is a nice, quiet street. And man, has that changed. Like, you just see a lot more traffic. And the first week or so, or month or so here, I mean, it was dead out there. Not dead, but I mean, you just didn't see a lot of traffic. Now, there's traffic galore. It's just constant all day long. So it definitely has changed. And I noticed a lot more people are parking on the side of the street. The volume has increased. And people haul butt down the street too, which they shouldn't. It's not designed for fast traffic. You know, it just isn't. It's a neighborhood street. Well, thankfully we have stop signs here. Now, that doesn't mean that people will pay attention to those stop signs and stop, but we have stop signs. But there's other places where there's absolutely no stop signs whatsoever. And I don't know, and you will see a post. So it makes me think that someone may have stolen the stop signs back in the day and they just were never replaced because we've been here now over a year and those same spots still don't have a stop sign. And then there's other places where there's not even a post. Like if you look at all four corners, there's no post, no nothing. There's nothing marked in the road. You know how in some countries they actually and even here, they'll put stop right at the edge of the street so that you will stop. So there may not be a sign. There's none of that. There's no marking in the street. There's nothing. There's no sign. There's no slow down. There's nothing. So I don't know if that's just the city never could afford it back in the day and they just kind of forgot about it now. I don't know if that's just something that Tacoma does, or maybe that's something that a lot of cities around here do, and I just never paid attention to it. Um, but it's pretty dangerous because, again, people drive very fast, and because some of these streets are kind of less traveled, because I mean they're single family homes, right? Some of them are less heavily traveled, so people just they don't look, they just keep driving. And if you're not paying much attention, especially if you're fiddling with your phone, which you shouldn't do, but if you're fiddling with your phone, you're not going to be paying much attention. There's no stop sign. And so I would imagine there could be a lot of wrecks because you're not expecting a lot of traffic on those roads. But anyhow, that's something that has really puzzled me recently as to why that's the case. I thought maybe somebody took them, and it could be that people had hit the signs and they a long time ago and they were taken down or whatever. But there's no yield, no stop, nothing. So I don't know. Maybe some of the people who are from Tacoma can kind of tell me about that. Is that something that is prevalent? I've noticed it on this side of town. I've noticed it on a little bit on the other side of town. I've noticed it in many different areas where there's no stop sign. Now, I'm trying to think if I saw any of that in like the Stadium District. I can't remember. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's so close to downtown that that's different. But I've noticed out here that is the case. And even when I've went down to like other areas like Parkland, Spanaway, I never noticed. I mean, there's always a stop sign. I'm thinking there may have been one or two areas where it was a four-way area and there's no stop sign. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to stop first. I don't know if you stop and wait and look. I don't know. I mean, I've been driving since I've been 16, so for a long time. And I've never been in a situation like that. Like there's nothing. You know what I mean? Normally there's like at least a stop sign on one street, and the other folks have the right of way. But who has the right of way when there's nothing there? Anyway, I don't want to sit and bore you about the stop sign. I do want to call attention to the fact that we actually got a new patron. Really do appreciate that. Our Patreon is doing okay. Could it be doing better? Yeah. I mean, I really think it could be doing a whole lot better than what it is. But for those who actually do support us, I really do appreciate it. I'm looking up the person now so I can actually have it so I can say their name correctly. I have their last name. And so their last name I know. I don't know their first name right offhand, so I wanted to make sure I got it correctly. So Christian Aponte, thank you so much for being our Patreon. We really do appreciate it. I'm about to actually upload a podcast that talks about a topic that I like to talk about. And so it's funny. It's funny. There's a reason why I asked the question about Kim Kardashian the other day on YouTube. My question was, what are your thoughts about Kim Kardashian? And, do you think she's the perfect woman? Do you think that she is overrated? I don't think I said overrated. I said she should go away. Those types of things. Why is she famous? So there's a reason why I brought her up. But basically the podcast is going to talk about her and some other folks. And just kind of my take on it. So look forward to that podcast. Again, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it, Christian. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. With that, the chicken coop. So this video is all over the place. I know. I'm talking about parking issues. I'm talking about our Patreon. And then I'm talking about the chicken coop. The chicken coop. Remember yesterday I did a live stream and I talked about how a raccoon attacked our chicken coop. And the reason why I think it was a raccoon is because, as I mentioned in that, we've had our next door neighbor, they have chickens, and a raccoon has attacked their chickens. They actually came out and saw the raccoon doing this. And it actually killed two of their chickens, and it took all the eggs. So raccoons are really known. And I think that when you see a raccoon, you're thinking they're cute and cuddly. And they kind of are cute, but they're definitely not cuddly. They're very vicious, believe it or not. Raccoons, and somebody was asking, don't you have lights that come on? Motion sensor lights, and we do. But that does nothing to deter a raccoon. I mean, you can have dogs in your yard, and a raccoon will still come up in your yard right past the dog and eat the food. right? And because of the way their behavior is and that type of thing, dogs kind of are afraid of them. I mean, they don't outright, unless it depends on the dog. Typically, they don't go outright towards the raccoon. They're very vicious. It's a wild animal. So they have sharp claws for a reason. And so it was trying to tear into the cage. I saw the footprint, and also the neighbors had a huge tree, and there was like a small family of raccoons that lived in that tree. They cut the tree down because it was getting old and part of it was dead, so they cut it down. Well, the raccoons had to move from that location. They were homeless. So they cut that tree down. Now, whether these are the same raccoons that came back and sought revenge, I don't know. But I have seen raccoons walk across the street at night, late at night, just checking outside, looking outside, and I've seen them walk across the street. Now, it may not have been the same ones. Possums are also a potential problem too, as far as messing with the chickens, because they like to eat the eggs. They don't really like to mess with the chickens too much, although they can kill and eat a chicken. Possums actually, despite the fact that they look like a giant rat, they're really not that vicious. I mean, they try to bluff and pretend like they're going to bite you, and they show teeth, but they're not the most vicious thing out there. Now, I wouldn't necessarily stick my fingers in their mouth while they're showing teeth and be like, here, because they probably will bite you. But typically, they're not aggressive. They try to scare you, and then they try to pass out and die so that you'll leave them alone. They really don't want to mess with you, but they will attack a chicken if they need to, and they definitely will go after the eggs. Given the amount of damage, I don't think that was a possum. Now, Noelle has seen possums walk across our fence line. So possums do live in trees in different places, and yeah, they do hang upside down. I mean, that's what people say. I've never seen it. But so that's a possible contender. One thing I didn't think about was one of our subscribers said it could be coyotes. We have coyotes here, and given the fact that we have one of the largest undisturbed parks, we have two, really. I forget the name of the other one, but it's a park that no one really talks much about, but it has like a creek and everything running through it. It's a pretty large undisturbed park. And then, of course, we have Point Defiance, which is a massive, massive area that's just untouched. Coyotes do roam here. If they can live up in Linwood, which is where one of our subscribers are, Linwood's pretty developed. I mean, there's patches of areas of Linwood that still got a lot of trees. But, I mean, this whole area is forest. I mean, all of it, Seattle, everything, it's all forest. So, coyotes and things like that do live here. Could that have been a coyote? Maybe. Noelle's thinking no. Looking at I mean, she doesn't know anything about footprints, but both of us think it's not really a coyote, possibly. I don't think that's the case. It could happen, but I don't think that's what that was. We've seen raccoon tracks out here often. Climbing over our fence, you could see the footprint of them. And it's not a cat, unless it's like a cat, like a wild cat. So we don't think it's that, obviously. We think it's probably a raccoon. Anyhow, raccoons do hunt together. So it could have been a family of them, could have been one, don't know. I stayed vigilant last night to see if I saw anything, didn't see anything. But that doesn't mean that they won't try again. They're very, very smart, very intelligent, and they learn very quickly. So you can do something to try to prevent them, and they'll figure it out and do something else. They're very, very intelligent. So anyhow, hopefully we have, we dodged the bullet on that one. Hopefully we can keep them away. So anyhow, that's pretty much it. I don't have much here to really talk about. My day is pretty much done. Thankfully, my head is just busting. I have a report I really need to do, but it can wait till tomorrow. Maybe later I'll do it. There's a report that's really important that I need to do. I'm doing stuff that's a year ahead, right? Yeah, so I'm doing things that are supposedly going to be happening the next year, but I'm doing them now. So it can definitely wait a few days if need be, but this headache is not going anywhere. I had a headache yesterday. So anyhow, it could be due to the lack of coffee. I didn't have my normal 3 cups of coffee. So anyhow, Hope you guys enjoyed this long rambling video. Again, thank you so much, Christian, for being our patron. We really do appreciate it. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you also visit our Patreon, become our patron. It's $3 to actually do so. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.